had a discussion on the human papillomavirus, which is a virus that can cause cervical cancer, which might be quite aggressive for women. And so we also ran through all the questions. There were so many of them, so actually we took very long about the first page and then realized there were 3 more pages to come. So actually our main conclusion was that it was a very long list for brainstorming. So we decided that if we would do it again, we would do it in 2 rounds, where we first need to look up some prior knowledge on the papillomavirus itself, and then cluster the questions related to the content of the topic, I mean the topic itself, and then separate it from the management issues about funding, about internal, external expertise, because these 2 things are different, although they influence, of course, each other. But now we saw that the questions about management were much more at the end of the thing, of the question list, the questionnaire, and we could not even deal with these questions up to now. So it was actually, I will not go really into detail. I think most of the questions we understood, most of the clusters we did understand. Some of the questions were double, the meaning was more or less the same. There was not always clear whether it is what is the actual situation, what should be the situation. But the question which was the most difficult for us was, is it unique? We did not really understand this question, so this was for us a bit difficult. Maybe also the difference between knowledge and information was not always clear. If you say is there knowledge available or is there information available. The questionnaire is actually too long for a brainstorm in daily situation. I think that although it's very useful, because we discussed that in our organization in Flanders we don't do that so extensively, but it gives you a very good reference work if you do it before a project, because we all feel that it should be transparent how you frame a project, how you come to a project proposal, and it can be very handy if you get questions along the route from different stakeholders that you can refer to this document. But we also had a feeling that it would be very useful to have a new look at this list at the end of the project to see if we have dealt actually with all the different aspects, and if we actually can come to a good closure of the project. So that would be very handy to evaluate actually this list again at the end of the project. We felt also so that there is about the human papillomavirus, Belen had some knowledge about this topic, because Capcit did a project on this, but all the other partners had actually not really much on this topic. So we felt that if this would be a brainstorm, you need some prior knowledge gathering, of course, to be able to talk about it, even if you are the project manager that needs to present this project. So we would suggest like a 2-stage process, where the prior knowledge collection is important, and then the discussion on this list. But this list, or going through this list and giving answers to this list, is not enough to decide whether or not to choose for this project. So it's clear that the management issues about funding, about do we have expertise, do we have time to do it, also make an important impact on whether or not to select this topic. We had a discussion on the cluster of TA relevance. So why should TA do it? Is there a need for TA? These questions to us are not the same, like what makes this project actually a TA project? And we rephrased some of these things. It should be more about alternatives, provide different perspectives, and giving answers to these things. So does it give different perspectives? How will we do that? It cannot be based on complete knowledge, but what knowledge alternatives do we provide? These questions could maybe more legitimize whether or not this is actually a TA project, because with the papillomavirus it's clear that there is a lot of scientific knowledge available, but why not a university that's doing this project on giving more knowledge on this issue? Let's see. We might cluster the issues a bit differently, so separating a bit the management issues with the content issues. We actually missed a cluster of questions relating to the translation. So often there is a demand from a member of parliament, or maybe from an organization, saying, did you do already something about human papillomavirus, for instance? The question that he phrases has to be translated into the technology assessment organization. And this often goes through the director to the project managers, and then you sit together and you talk about it. But there is a translation process, and the project manager should be able to understand this demand, but the demand from an MP is not necessarily a TA suitable topic, so you have to work a bit around it. How can we make this a TA question? How can we make this question into a TA project? So a few more questions could be added on what is the original question, from whom is it coming, and how do we rephrase the question into a TA question. I think that's more or less. I think that's more or less what we said. Maybe my other fellow discussion partners can add. No, okay, then that's it from our part.
Okay, nice.